It has become a holding pen. Over 1,000 men languishing, waiting, and doing what people do to pass time. But all this is only temporary. A new Australian policy means these men are going to be deported. They may be refugees, but they'll never be settled in Australia. On Christmas Island, there's a routine. Most mornings, another group arrives, 50, 60, sometimes more than 100 asylum seekers at a time.
There was a couple of weekends in the last couple of months where we've seen 5 and 6 boats come in on one day.
It's so regular, there's a coffee shop for the officials who bring them ashore. Detainees, as they now are, get bused to a camp where they have a first meal on Australian soil. There are basic health checks. Single men are separated from families, women and children. And then they're told the bad news, what Australia's new refugee policy means for them. Under strict conditions and only after promising to conceal their identities, Australia's government allowed Al Jazeera to be the first news organisation ever to film inside Christmas Island's detention centres. We agreed not to broadcast voices, but one detainee told me he was just 15, another that he'd once been a famous boxer. Such stories won't make any difference. Australia's politicians say there'll be no exceptions. Virtually all those in this detention centre arrived after the government introduced its tough new policy, which means if the politicians are to be believed, the few weeks they'll spend here will be all they'll ever get to see of Australia, even if they are genuine refugees. Every few days, a few more get news. Pack your bag, you're next. Another bus, this time to a plane, one way to Papua New Guinea. Australia's government says its motivation is compassion. Dissuading people from travelling by boat means fewer tragedies like this one in 2010. It says too that fewer refugees coming by boat will free up places in Australia for refugees who don't arrive by boat.
There is nothing compassionate in limiting your humanitarian program to whoever is in the line of sight. The person who has arrived on our shores on a boat, yes, they need to be taken into account, as does the person you don't see who would otherwise be at the bottom of the Indian Ocean, as does the person who's been waiting for a decade in a UNHCR camp somewhere in Africa.
These asylum seekers, in other words, are not the most deserving. For now, their spirits are high, but deportation awaits. Andrew Thomas, Al Jazeera, on Australia's Christmas Island.